Well, hello everyone. This video is going to be a little different from the type that I normally do. This past Saturday, May 21st of 2022, Paul McCartney had a concert at the football stadium at Wake Forest University. And I worked at it. And I did an overnight stand a couple days prior to that from 7:30 at night to 7:30 in the morning as they were prepping for it and building the stage and stuff. But you can go online on YouTube and see all different videos that people shot of the concert itself. But I thought that, maybe a little view of behind the scenes days leading up to the concert and working concert the day of the concert might be a little of interest to folks. I was there 15 and a half hours from about 10 till 9 in the morning until about 20 at 12 in the morning on Sunday and worked several different positions. But just some thoughts and some things that I observed, and I thought they might be of interest to you because you always see the good stuff with the people out in the stadium or whatever having a good time, and that's what people come for. But it's also interesting, to see kind of the behind the scenes stuff, which I got to see. So that's what this short little video is going to be about. Um, okay, I got some notes here, so I'm going to keep looking down. And so that's what I'm doing is looking at notes. And when I got there at 10 till 9 in the morning, the first place I was sent to was 50-yard line at the stadium. They have a production tent set up there facing the stage. And inside that production tent were all kinds of computer screens and stuff. And on either side of it was the cameras that took the video or shot the concert. I don't know how to call it, video, whatever. But you'll see projected on screens on either side of the stage. And I spent time talking with the camera people setting up and some of the people who were actually, going to be inside the tent, looking straight at the stage, probably the director and the producer and stuff. But that was interesting. But 3.5 hours out there, no one's in the stadium except the workers. They're setting all the stages set up, all the lights are up, all the sound equipment's up. The speakers and light system back out in the stadium floor were all being adjusted. So they were just doing the final touches, at that time of the day and standing around for 3.5 hours just watching that and talking with different people. That was interesting. Some people, while working on the stadium floor or up on the stage, some were required to wear a mask and some weren't. And I was one of the people of several that were asked to wear them because we were working around the crew that did the complete tour with Paul McCartney. And then when they went over back to Europe, they were going with him. So, but people working on the stage didn't have to wear one, supposedly. So it was a mixed bag. Most people didn't, some did. And that's just kind of the territory when you work around these actors and stuff. Okay, so let me see here now. When I got there, most of the seats on the stadium floor were already up. And but I kept noticing they started bringing more chairs out and putting chairs up. Initially, they were putting more on the sides. Then they started extending the chairs back to the away from the stage, back to where they sold beer and water. And then finally, they were adding like 3 or 4 more rows to the front. Now, when I first got there, the front rows were probably close to 20, 25 feet from the little security fence they had up to keep people from being able to actually go up right to the stage. By the time they added all these chairs, they were probably down to about 10 or 15 feet at the most, maybe less than that. They added at least 3 while I was there until I got repositioned. But I understand they added a couple more after that. Reason being, ticket sales kept coming in, and they kept having to add chairs to accommodate those extra ticket sales that were either coming in Saturday morning or came in sometime Friday, and they just got an update. So the stadium itself, in just the standard seats, will seat like 31,500. I was told by one of the people who monitors the ticket sales, because they're the ones required to put the seats up, It was going to be a 50,000 plus ticket sale concert. So you had about 19 to 20,000 people down on the floor, and they put a thin layer of plastic boarding down, and all the chairs are on this plastic. It's not on the actual football field surface itself. So let me see here now. After that, I went up behind the stage and got to see really nothing. I got to see a lot of the backstage. Got a lot to see of the balcony behind it that's part of the VIP area for the football games. And one thing, though, I did have to do is I had to make sure no one entered a certain set of doors on this balcony that led right to the dressing room where Paul was going to be. So spent several hours there, talked to a few people, just making sure everyone had the correct credentials, that had to be, that were required to be up there. Nothing exciting at all. In the afternoon, early afternoon, they started doing all sound testing for all the different pieces of equipment and stuff. And then Paul arrived around 4 o'clock. Now, the reason I know that is I was taking a lunch break, and I was taking it at an area that overlooked the visitors' entrance to the stadium, and got the word he was going to be arriving in about 5 minutes. He did. He got out of a black Chevy Suburban. There was two in his little convoy. Shook some hands and walked on in. And then he proceeded to do what they call like a sound test, where they go through different songs and stuff and make sure all the volumes are set and all that stuff. And actually, it was like a mini concert. It went on nearly an hour and a half. Now, you were allowed to buy special tickets to observe this. Those tickets were $700 plus. And you got to come in, you got to stand down by that production tent where I was working and listen to this about hour and a half mini concert when they were doing the sound testing. Then you went back out and then had to come back in on your regular ticket. Now, here's how it went. The cheapest seats, like in the nosebleed section of a stadium, were around about $200 or less, maybe down some around $100. If you were on the floor, if you were up front by the stage, the tickets went from $3,300 up. So the cheapest ones, if you were in the first 8 or 10 rows, you were paying about $3,400. In the back by where they sold the beer or some beer and water, you were paying nearly $1,000 per ticket. And then the prices were anywhere between that, on either side of the football stadium in your regular seating. So seats weren't cheap. They weren't cheap at all. They filled every one of them. That stadium was probably, I'm being told by people who run the concert, it was easily 50,000 people in the stadium that in the seats, it's 31.5. So that was interesting. For medics, talking about medics also, there was no room for anyone else. So I told you that he arrived. After that, I went down after a couple of hours and worked at what they call the East Gate. And it's a security gate for access for stagehands and equipment. But from that location, you couldn't see any of the seating on the stadium at all. You got a good look at the back of the stage. And when the concert did start, you could hear it. But because all the sound was being directed away from you, it didn't really sound that great. And like I said, you couldn't see really anything. But I was there through the rest of the night. Okay, here's some stuff that I think some might find interesting and some may not find interesting. This is what we were told before and actually on the day of the concert, that Paul McCartney is a big-time vegetarian, and he doesn't really like to associate, around situations where meat is being sold. So initially, the concert promoters did not want any meat products sold on the stadium's concourses, like your hot dogs, sausages, and hamburgers. And the people run those said basically that ain't gonna fly because we can't make any money if we don't sell that kind of stuff. So apparently at the last minute, on the last day or day before, it was said that they could sell on the concourse your standard, your hot dogs, sausages, and hamburgers. But you couldn't sell it anyplace else. Now, Once you were inside what they call the security area, which was the area of the building behind the stage and all the associated area in the parking lot where close to 25 trucks were parked that brought all the equipment in, any area within inside that security area, you could not consume any meat products. You could eat all the veggies you wanted, but if you wanted to eat meat, you had to go outside that fenced-in security area and do your thing. And initially, we were told day of the concert that everyone working there would have to take a COVID test by having a laser shot your eye, and that's somehow supposed to tell whether you have COVID or not. And I got there Saturday morning, and they had decided that was not a good idea. So no one was given COVID test, with a laser in your eye. So that was kind of interesting. I don't know how that was supposed to work, but I'm really not excited about having a laser shot in my eye, and I end up not having to. The concert started about 40 minutes later. It was supposed to start at 8 o'clock, started about 8:40. Had a lot of rain come through from between about 7 and 8:30, 7 to about 7:20. Some lightning, some thunder. The gates were not allowed to open on time to allow people in because of the weather. No one left. No one left. And I could only see people lined up to come into gate 3. There were gate 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 where people could enter. And all I had access to was right next to me, gate 3. And the line just disappeared back into a huge parking lot. You couldn't see the end of it. And it was like that, if not worse, at other ones. I saw videos that are on YouTube about gate 1, where normally in football games, I work gate 1. That's the main gate, and do baggage checks or wanding for metal detectors. But every gate was just packed to the gills with people just waiting to get in. The weather did not deter them at all. Parking or traffic, I understand, was absolutely horrendous. And I got this from a couple of people who were on the production crew who left early. I mean, like 11 o'clock in the morning, go get something to eat or something. And they said they'd never do that again. Never, ever, because the traffic was so bad. 7 to 8 hours prior to the concert, it took them forever to get back close to the stadium and get parked. That people were showing up that early. The fact is that where the stadium is, it is not designed to handle a lot of traffic. It has trouble handling traffic for a football game that sells out at 31.5. It's not designed to take a concert of 50,000. And, the road system was just completely overwhelmed, up to a half a mile or a mile away in all directions. Some roads were closed off, some weren't. Luckily, I didn't have to go anywhere, and I didn't have to put up until I left. And then I did know the back roads and avoided all that traffic of people leaving. But even in the news, they said some people were complaining about how bad traffic was. But folks, that area, and I know unless you live in that area and go up around, there's only one major road. That's University Parkway. And that's it. Everything else is 2-lane road. And the shuttle people in, and then those numbers are going to be 50,000 plus. The road system just can't handle it. It's just, I'm glad I wasn't anywhere near it. One guy told me when he was leaving, I was talking with him, he had to park over a mile away. That's the closest he could get. And I don't know where he parked at, but there was a lot of parking around there. There was a lot of parking for both the Coliseum across the street and the football stadium, around the football stadium. And even that filled up quick. And they were resorting to the county fairgrounds was across the street. That was filled up. So, well, my grandson just bothered me for a second. So I guess I'll have to kind of end this because he's going to keep knocking at the door here. So anyway, huge lines, bad traffic, bad roads and all. That's mainly it, folks. The concert was a complete success. Everyone, enjoyed it. Everyone I talked to as they left said they enjoyed it. Could have been better. You don't ask for the rain, but it came with that. But everyone had a good time. So those are just some notes about someone who worked behind the scenes at the Paul McCartney concert. Things that people don't see when you come. You just come, pay your ticket, sit down, and leave. But it's interesting to sit there and watch the production crews assemble the stage, assemble the lights, do the sound testing, and all the other stuff that everyone else doesn't get to see. It was interesting. It was a long 15.5 hour day, but would I do it again? Yep, in a heartbeat. So everyone have a good one. I have associated with this a couple of pictures I took. If you wonder why I took that picture of nothing but like a little empty patio, that's where I was for a couple of hours. And right to the right was the back of the stage, and to the left was where the tour security was, the dressing room, and the dining room for the traveling crew. So you might wonder, what was that for? Well, I spent a couple of hours there, and part of the pyrotechnics were at the other end of it, and I got to watch them set that up. So anyway, just some observations from the other side of the concert. Everyone had a good time, and I'm sure they'll have more big concerts there in the future. Have a good one.